car is great, and it sucks, because Hyundai was one curly hair away from making the Kona N perfect. Hyundai's recipe for the Kona N was the same as the Falcon Sprint, Ford Thunderbolt, Focus RS, Civic Type R, and most financially successful Twink content. Put the biggest package you have in the smallest platform that will swallow it. This is a well-known competitor's mattress.
Sciatica.
No! This is a Brooklyn bedding mattress.
Now that is what I want to see.
Brooklyn bedding. Hey, if you can unwrap a burrito, you can set one of these mattresses up. They're comfy, and when I have friends staying over at the house, we now have spaces where people can come and stay the night if they have a cool car. We got a wonderful place for them to sleep, and there's the soldier.
Yes.
Anyway, everybody I see coming over prefers the Brooklyn bedding mattress over the other kind right there. The best part about all this is that Brooklyn bedding mattresses are designed, assembled, and shipped from their factory in Arizona. Once more! And if you want to support regular car reviews, you can...
Medic!
You can tell them we sent you in the post survey. So when you order one of these mattresses, you get the post survey at the end. Just fill it out. Tell them regular car reviews sent you. Also free shipping.
Yes!
Free shipping to your door or your campground. They'll do that too. Visit brooklynbedding.com/regularcars to get 30% off your order with code REGULARCARREVIEWS. Once again, that is brooklynbedding.com/regularcarreviews to get 30% off your order with code REGULARCARREVIEWS. With your Brooklyn bedding mattress, you get a 120 night sleep trial along with a limited lifetime warranty so you can rest easy. Yeah, it's not like, hey, you bought it, there's nothing we can do. No, there is a limited lifetime warranty that comes with this mattress. They're standing behind their product. These things also come with a limited lifetime warranty.
Hooray!
Yes! Yes! Iggy. The Kona N is a small commuter car that just deep-throated the Veloster engine. Inside this four-door hatch, and it is a four-door hatch. And quick aside, Hyundai calls this an SUV. The literature calls it a crossover, and the National Institute for Highway Safety calls this an SUV. It's a four-door hatch. Call it an SUV if it gets you around cafe standards, and call it an SUV if that gets people to sign on the devil's line. But this is a four-door hatch. Under the hood, with millimeters to spare on both sides, is Hyundai's 2-liter Theta 2 TGDI engine. Yeah, the same engine that's been under investigation for being nastier than the lactose-intolerant dumps I take at mainline cars and coffee because I love milk. I'm about to sing you a song for your family. Here I go. I'm the commander of the discotheque, and you're the janitor that I just hired. Office hours are when I press play. If you look at me, you're gay. But the Turbo Theta 2 engines that the Kona N received were not listed in the investigation. So congratulations. If you bought the Kona N, you should be good to enjoy 276 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and 289 pound-feet of torque at 4,700 RPM. And you can go 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds and on to a top speed of 149 miles an hour. But that's not all. There's a pseudo overboost button that Hyundai calls N-Grin Shift mode that temporarily gives you an additional 10 horsepower. The button said 10 horsepower. If you're already making 276 horsepower at peak and N-Grin Shift mode gives you 10 horsepower on top of that, you're not gonna feel it. Do you count your dick's spurts when you beat off and then verify with the number of stains left on your bed's comforter before rolling over and going back to sleep in a puddle of your own morning fantasies? Yes, you still won't feel 10 horsepower. Realistically, all N-Grin shift mode is going to do is feel like the pseudo thrill you get of accelerating a car as you drive on a slight downhill. I excused myself during freshman orientation and busted in the bathroom. I have spoken. But the Kona N's tragic flaw is right here. No manual transmission available. It has the Veloster engine, but not the Veloster's manual transmission. Now, why didn't Hyundai just go the extra mile and create a low-cost competitor to everyone? Would the Veloster 6-speed manual just not fit in here? I doubt it. I mean, the Kona platform already came with a 6-speed manual in the diesel one. But the diesel was only a 1.6-liter Smart Stream, and I'm wondering, maybe the 1.6 diesel block is smaller than the 2-liter petrol, which means there's extra room in the engine bay for a transverse mounted 6-speed. Or was it that the 1.6-liter Smart Stream diesel only makes 236 pound-feet of torque, and the extra 53 pound-feet of torque from the Theta 2 turbo would that's enough to break the transmission? Or is it something evil? Like how General Motors nerfs every other version of the LS or LT V8, so no car they make can be faster than the Corvette. In Hyundai's case, can nothing be cooler than the Veloster? Well, that makes sense to me. If Hyundai offered the Veloster Turbo's engine and its 6-speed manual transmission in a smaller and more practical package, who would want the Veloster anymore? And when I drove the Kona N, that theory made even more sense to me because even with the DCT, the Kona N is fun. It's a little econo box making more power than it should, the result of which is a little lima bean shaped car that is all of a sudden rowdy and unpredictable. The Hyundai Kona N is about as close as we're ever going to come to a metafictional car. In literary theory, metafiction is basically just self-awareness. Deadpool knows he's in a comic book, or he knows he's in a movie. David Copperfield is a fictional biography within the story, authored by the main character. Geoffrey Chaucer inserted himself into the Canterbury Tales, and Stephen King put himself in the Dark Tower. At every turn, you're reminded that these are stories that you're reading, and that whatever these stories are, they're not bound by the expectations of form. The Hyundai Kona N makes sure you're aware that you're in an exaggerated challenge to German hot hatches and Japanese tuners. The car breaks the fourth wall to address your emotions with a big red button that they slapped on there called N-Grin Shift, so you can snap, crackle, and pop like a bowl of Rice Krispies and enjoy the performance theater of exaggerated shifting and dropping gears without warning. It's like this car believes it's a track car that's somehow trapped inside a commuter. This is a car for grown-ups, but grown-ups who go to key parties. They pay all their bills on time and start their taxes on January 1st, just like Nettie, but the reality of who they are is just beneath the surface of questions you feel uncomfortable asking. That's what makes the Kona N exciting. It's alive with chaos, like it chopped up its own brochure and then just snorted it off a glass table. It's a metafictional ride down a rabbit hole of references. It's on the B-segment SUV platform derived from the Hyundai i30 platform, but it feels like a Veloster that matured into somebody worth talking to. Yet it has the tuner hatch vibes of a Civic or a GTI, all while being positioned between the Venue and the Tucson. It's like an exaggeration of a sport hatch, a tall tale told secondhand, except it's actually real. This car happened, and it hardly makes any sense that it's here. Ryan told me that he got this car for $24,000, which is around $10,000 below market. And in that time, he's used it as a functional city car that provides decent room while making great use of the tiny spaces that the city gives you. And the gas mileage is better than you think for a car that could move you like this. You just have to be in eco mode to get it. With Ryan telling us he's gotten as high as 35 miles per gallon, even as the factory numbers are trapped in the 20s, as all of us are right now. 20 city, 27 highway, 23 combined. But the value of the Hyundai Kona N goes beyond things like fuel economy and interior space. Yes, it's a tragedy that this didn't get a manual, that they didn't leverage this platform, this engine, these internals toward the sort of pure performance that a real manual gearbox would have given us. But the value of the Hyundai Kona N is that cars can still be surprising, even when they owe their existence to any number of cars that came before. Because that's what cars are, a metafictional culture of references that build upon one another in perpetuity. Sometimes you get perfections, and other times you get this. A car so painfully close to perfection that it borders on tragedy. There's no reason that something like this should be capable of octane learning. Why would a glorified commuter like this ever need it? Well, the Kona N feels like a vague shot at the Honda Civic, as if Hyundai were planning a hostile takeover of tuner culture. The Kona N may have been assigned SUV at birth, but it identifies as a hot hatch. And it's so confidently assertive that you know it made the right choice cutting off their parents to go live their truth. You wouldn't think the Kona should be able to move like this, but then I'm not sure anybody expected Kentucky Fried Movie to be as good as it was. Hyundai Kona N, sponsored by Cognitive Dissonance. As Ryan explained to us, this engine can, despite its turbocharger, can take 87 octane. But you have to go all the way to 93 for it to finally go, okay, I'm giving you all I have. Yet, here's the weird thing. The Kona is going to assume you're adding 87 until it eventually learns that you're running 93. And then it'll up the boost of the turbocharger to where it's supposed to be. But it doesn't notify you that boost is unlocked. Let me say that again. It doesn't let you know that it's running full boost when it finally senses that there's nothing but 93 in this tank, and in the fuel lines, and in the fuel rails. Once you finally run a tank or two of 93 through this car, and you're on the highway, and you're at 60 miles an hour, it finally realizes what it's running on, and suddenly you just rolled over a Mario Kart dash panel. The suspension is a bit on the softer side, but it's still fun. It's like somebody lifted a hatch, or put a gasoline turbo inside my Niro. Because, it's the same car. And in fact, this kind of makes my electric Niro feel dumpy and unsporty. And honestly, the Kona N is probably as close as you can get to a sports car without having to pay sports car insurance rates. Although insurance companies don't seem to know how to classify this any more than Hyundai does. According to Ryan, dealerships and insurance companies don't know what these cost or what they're supposed to cost, much less what they're even supposed to be. Ryan's insurance company originally listed this as an N-Line, which is the lower tier version, and Ryan asked that to be changed, and he's right, because this is not an N-Line. But the problem was that the company had no alternative in their system to change it to, so it was listed as the Kona Sportback, since that was the closest they could get in their computers. But despite all that, it's fun. Andrew WK was a prophet. He said, "We want fun, and we want to get wasted." If Hyundai had just given us a manual in the Kona N, this little car would have been on the cover of every tuner magazine if magazines are still relevant. People would make models of it in BeamNG, and we'd see their videos in our feed. Boys with base model Konas would buy aftermarket parts to try to make their poverty Konas look like an N. But Hyundai didn't do it. So the Kona N is just an automotive curiosity, like an Isuzu iMark or a Ford Escort GT or an SVT Focus. Almost perfect. It's like on the waterfront. I could have been a contender. I could have had class instead of being a bum, which is what I am. Hyundai Kona N, brought to you by empathizing with the supporting character in all media. You like Falco, not Fox. You like Wedge Antilles, not Luke or Han. You like Dragonheart 2 because it has a happy ending, and because you rented it on a VHS tape really fast and watched it after your parents went to bed with headphones plugged into a 13-inch Zenith television, and you tilted the TV toward the wall and watched it with your back against the wall away from the door so that if mom and dad came into the family room, and you could quickly change the channel from VHS channel 3 to Comcast channel 48, the weather channel. Brian, Do I need to worry about this? Mom said when she found my drawings of dragons wearing Best Buy uniforms. Then she found drawings on my computer that, quote, made her cry. This was back when Doug Winger was still alive. And if you know who that is, congratulations. Here's your bottle of chewable aspirin. Don't weep that the Kona N never received a manual transmission. Rejoice that it got the opportunity to exist in the first place. And don't weep that Cumtown ended. Rejoice that it existed at all. There will never be a podcast like it again, at least within our lifetimes. Also, you're gay.